Well, I'm a little bit short on time this morning, so I'm ready for questions. I don't want anybody to get cut out of the interview.
All right. In that case, our first question is going to come from Garen Emig from the Tulsa World. Go ahead, Garen.
Yeah, Mike, I don't know if you addressed this after the game. I didn't drop in on your Zoom call, but why did you punt at the OU 39 in the fourth quarter?
You have to get what was the situation?
Well, you had a 4th and 8 at the OU 39 with about 12 minutes left. It was a 3-score game. I thought you might take a shot down the field to try to get it to a 2-score game with much of the fourth quarter left. I was a little surprised to see Hutton punt, but it's your call. I just wanted to know what prompted that one.
I think at that point they were pretty much in rush the quarterback mode. We had a young offensive line, and we were struggling to protect the quarterback, even with a 3-man pressure. And they were dropping 8 a lot, and there wasn't really a lot of places to go. So we punted down. I think, is that where we punted them down to the 1-yard line?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, just a call on my part based on the flow of the game.
Okay. Quick follow-up outside of the scope of the season. Just Boone Pickens statues going up this weekend for the Tech game. What's the status on Barry Sanders' statue? You've referenced it in the past. Do you have any idea where that is right now?
I don't have anything to do with statues that's all over my head. I've never heard anything about a statue. I know that they're building one out here, but I don't know anything about Barry Sanders. You would have to ask the administration. They're in charge of all that.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks.
You bet.
Our next question comes from Barry Trammell from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, Mike, your loss Saturday pretty much eliminated the Big 12 from college football playoff consideration. Everybody's got 2 losses. So you're sort of a neutral observer. Do you have any advice for the committee tonight or tomorrow night? They're going to release their new rankings. They're comparing teams like, some teams have already played 9 games. Some teams have played 3 and 4. How do you compare teams that have played 9 games with somebody that's played 3 or 4?
I think they've got their hands full. They're going to earn their money if they get paid. I don't know if they get paid, but I don't have any idea how they would take into account what's going on across the country. I just looked a week ago and noticed that ACC's played. Most of those teams are up to, like you said, 9 games, and then you've got some other teams across the country that have played 2. So I would say they have their hands full. They should be able to get down to like 6 or 8 teams pretty easy, though. I don't follow it like you guys do, but you would think that they're going to get down to 6 or 8 teams pretty easy.
Do you think there's any justification or a case to be made for a 2-loss team, whoever emerges out of the Big 12, if they can win out and win the conference title game? Can you make a case that in a year like this, the Big 12 could still have a representative in the 4?
I think they should. I think that anybody that wins in this league has 2 losses ought to get in the playoff. I don't think they're going to take what I say into account. And my honest opinion there is if you have several 1-loss teams across the country ranked in the top 10, it would be extremely difficult for that to happen. People in this part of the country may not want to hear that, but I think if you're just looking at it and being reasonable, it would be difficult in my opinion.
Thanks, Mike.
Our next question comes from Robert Allen from Triple Play Sports. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, Coach, how was practice last night? And when you take a look at what the objectives are this week and getting ready for Texas Tech, for instance, the quarterback position, so forth, what are your objectives? Other than just winning the game, what are you trying? Because the offense is trying to get its confidence back, so to speak.
Well, first off, practice would be about like you expected. The only guy that was in a good mood was me, and because I'm the head coach and that's my job. Players are down, coaches are down, coaches are worse than players. So things will get better in the morning, which is now, and guys are back to work, and that's kind of life, you pick yourself up and keep going. So from that standpoint, that'll answer the first question. The second one is I'm guessing they're going to play Bowman at quarterback. I'm not sure, but he came in and led them to a victory in their last game. So I would think that he would be their quarterback. And then, we're playing with a young offensive line. Guys that don't have a lot of experience and reps, and you can call it like you want. Charlie's doing a good job, and guys are playing hard and competing. But so we're trying to, piece some things together and get those guys up and going.
You want to talk about your quarterback situation? I know Illingworth couldn't be protected per se, but when he came in, you got to give the kid credit. He didn't blink when he came in on that first drive. He went to work.
Well, the guys are doing a good job. They're competing. 7 and 11 are good pass rushers and guys that can make plays, have a chance someday to play in the NFL. And we're a little bit limited in protecting against those guys. So, but that's how you learn. That's how you get better. It wasn't easy for a quarterback at Oklahoma State to be productive in that game last Saturday night. That's a fact. So there's various reasons why, but the good news is that game's over with, and now we're prepared to come up with as good a plan as possible based on the people we have available for the next game. And that's what we do.
Thanks.
Our next question comes from Ryan Breeden from the O'Colly. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, Mike, you guys have talked all year, mostly, especially the players and stuff, have talked about how the goal of the season is a Big 12 title game and going to the Big 12 championship. After on Saturday night, can you just kind of talk about what the goals are and just kind of where the team is at going into the last 3 games of the year?
Well, every year our goal is to win the Big 12 championship, which I've said forever. If that's completely out of the picture, then your goal is to be the very best player, very best teammate, very best coach that you can be every single day. That's our job. So if people think that you fold your tent based on that outcome, then 95% of the teams across the country would be folding their tent after week 5. Make for a pretty ugly season from that point moving forward. So as coaches, we're on salary here. We love to coach the game as players. These guys are on scholarship or walked on, obviously. They love to play the game. And then there's something to be said about life. We get up and do the very best we can. We compete every single day and try to improve ourselves. That's the message that they get, and they buy into it. The good thing about young people is they're very resilient. And so our job is to get them practice, give them good game plans, get them enjoying being around each other, and get prepared to play on Saturday morning.
Thanks, Coach.
Our next question comes from Jenny Carlson from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jenny.
Hey, Mike, Garen asked you a little bit ago about Boone's statue. I just wanted to ask you a little bit about his impact. I know it's been talked about in various ways, but when you think about just, what it has meant to have his dollars, but also his involvement, his passion, how do you sort of quantify that at this point? Well,
he made the big jump with the $160 million, however many years ago that was, that initiated the stadium. And, prior to his gift, we had arguably the worst facilities in the league. Now we've built a facility and a stadium that people are proud of, and it's a perfect size for us. When we're virus free, we can have 60,000 people here. We have a basketball type of environment. And it makes for a hell of a home game day environment. So, that would be where you start with him and what he was able to accomplish however many years ago that was.
Do you, you talk about that being the obviously the seed money for the stadium, but it seems like he, in addition to the additional money he gave, sort of inspired other people in a lot of ways to get involved. Do you sense those ripples from that first gift from him?
I would think so, but I don't know a lot of, that stuff's over my head with the university. I don't really know what all took place outside of athletics. I don't really know anything about athletics either. I never know just what they tell me. But obviously when you have somebody that will stand up and be first in line, in most cases, others will follow.
Thanks, Mike.
Our next question comes from Frank Bonner from the Tulsa World. Go ahead, Frank.
I used to be a really good lip reader, Frank, but I'm struggling here. My eyes and ears and my career are going bad.
All right, well, I'm back. I'm back with you. You hear
And
me
I
now?
can tell you've already been up and showered. You and Jenny. Jenny's even got makeup on today. So
Well, I know a little bit ago you were calling folks out for pajamas and stuff, so I wanted to be ready for you.
You got a dress shirt on, and you probably got underwear on under that dress shirt. Would be my guess.
I wanted to ask, going back to what you said about players and the demeanor in practice, how important is your role after a loss like this of bringing, the positive energy and knowing that you've still got to prepare for a game this week?
Well, it's difficult. I think any head coach that says it's not and everything's okay and it's going to be good and players are fine, I think they're just BSing everybody. When you put a lot into something like we do every week, and specifically a game like Bedlam, where there's a lot of talk in state, most of the players know each other, so on and so forth. When you put a lot into something and you don't come out with the result that you want, it's going to be painful, and it should be. I mean, I always say this: just give some thought if it wasn't painful. So, but the other side of that is these are great learning experiences, whether people like to believe that or not. Just like in raising your children at home, it's not always going to go the way it's supposed to be. So, what do? We just check it in, or do we buck up and figure out a way to make it better? And that's what we do. So our players have to learn to overcome these situations. And my job is to be the guy to lay the groundwork and show them how it happens. It's like I said, now the coaches are just as bad as the players. I mean, when you lose a game like that, and we talk to the team, if I don't remind them, they all go in and change their clothes and shower and go sit on the bus and get ready to ride home and eat a pizza. They have to be involved in this also. So losing games and then losing games like Bedlam are always going to be painful.
Now, I know, Sanders missed part of that game, after the sack, but the time that he did play, with this being his first Bedlam, what did you think about his composure and some of the things you talked about, going into the week?
Overall, he played really good. He didn't have much of a chance. We struggled. We were outmatched up front against him for a variety of reasons. We didn't have any effort problems. Guys were playing hard and competing. But physically up front, we were outmatched in that game. We knew we had some issues going in, and then when Tevin got injured, that put us in a more difficult situation. Brought in another young guy and then played a little musical chairs. We've practiced that some, not a lot, but the quarterbacks played okay based on the circumstances they were presented on Saturday night.
Thank you, Mike.
Our next question comes from Scott Wright from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Scott.
You mentioned Tevin's injury. Do you know where things stand with him or any of the other guys that were injured on?
We MRI'd him. It'll be today. We'll do an MRI to make sure everything's okay with him and then go forward. Just some lower back. I mean, he's had some lower back issues.
What about Alex Hale? That seemed like a freak injury with him.
We'll find out on him today. He could even be possibly seriously injured. I was in the locker room talking to the officials before the game, like always, and our trainer came in and was standing right behind him and looking at me. And I thought maybe something was wrong with me. And finally I said, do you need me? And he said, Alex Hale just injured himself. We think it could be serious. And I thought maybe, I didn't know what happened. Maybe he slipped coming on the ramp or something, but I guess during warm-up. So very unfortunate situation for him. He's been awesome for us. It doesn't look good. We don't know for sure. But the other thing that was interesting is, I've never had that happen to me, obviously, in 16 years as a head coach. I don't remember it happening to me in 31 years as a football coach. But in preseason, we actually had a pretty good contest with 2 or 3 guys that were kicking to see who the starter was. And I had mentioned to a couple guys on our staff that I said, I know this is the first time ever in my years as a head coach, we got 2 really, really, really good kickers. And I said, that's a heck of a deal. And then, unfortunately, we ended up having to use them, but it's a good problem to have at that particular time.
And as long as Spencer's healthy, is he your guy going forward, or is this competition at this point?
They cleared him up later, and whenever we put him back in, they kind of cleared him up and we put him back in. His composure was good. He played fine. It's just tough sledding for him in that game.
Thanks, Mike.
Our next question comes from Bill Haston from the Tulsa World. Go ahead, Bill.
Mike, with regard to the O-line, because it's been like 7 years now that there's been an issue, but not one issue, but different issues up front. Either the personnel weren't quite what you needed, or you had some movement in the coaching, no consistency there or continuity there. And so you come into the season and you lose 2 guys in the summer, 2 starters, and you brag about Dickey all the time, so you must be happy with your coaching there. But with regard to the O-line for 7 years now, is it the most frustrating, lingering issue that you've ever had as a head coach?
I would say now, based on just how this transpired, we came into this year with what I would call almost too deep. And everybody knows we had a guy or 2 opt out. I had to discipline a couple guys, which I didn't like. And then we had 2 guys break their legs in the first game. And then Tevins had back issues. We lost like 5 or 6 guys that were in the 2 deep by September. And it's been unusual. Sure it has. And I do like Coach Dickey, and I like what Coach Dunn is doing with our schemes, and I like the effort we're getting with our players. So the best answer I can give you is we're going to try to come up with 7 guys that we feel good about and prepare for the next game. And as long as each one of those guys gives us everything that we have, or they have, I should say, then I'm okay with that. We can't control some of the things that have happened. And so we just ask those guys to do the best they can and give the effort they can and play hard. And we were getting that. I watched the last 2 series of offense really close. And then I watched the last couple series of our defense really close on the game Saturday night. We were getting tremendous effort. So my job is to make sure that we're getting good effort and we have good game plans and we move forward. I wish I could give you a better answer for the question you asked me, but I can't fix what's already broken. When you have issues like we had, it is what it is. Maybe I could have not, disciplined a couple of players, but we're never going to sacrifice the character and discipline of this organization. We run an organization that's disciplined and it's very structured, and we don't put up with anything. It is what it is around here. So, maybe someday that's the wrong decision, but that's not what I believe in. These are still young men that are being raised and developed, and they're getting an education. They need to be trained to do the right things at the right time. So that's just the way it is around this place.
But is it particularly maddening for you that you had for about 6 years, maybe that it was the best position group in the program consistently, and it was the reason you controlled the games and won a bunch of games, and then since then you've had anything that could go wrong up front has gone wrong at different points?
Yeah, if I was at a blackjack table in Vegas and that was going on, I would get up and leave, if that's what you're asking me.
Right.
Now, we still have won a lot of football games during that time. But what you're saying is correct. We've had to do a lot of different things on the offensive line over the last 4 or 5 years. And the good news is this. We are getting a lot of work with young players right now. They are being thrown in the fire. And that's going to pay dividends in the future. Now, I hate to step out there based on the results we've had the last 5 or 6 years that you're bringing up, and that it's going to be a lot better in September. But there's sure a lot of guys in our program that are getting quality work. The 2 guys that broke bones in the first game might start practicing in a couple weeks and get them some quality work and give us a little bit of a break. But, next up is Robert Allen or Scott Wright, I guess, at the offensive line position.
All right. Thank you.
You got it.
Well, I don't know if he's next up at offensive line, but the next question is going to come from Cliff Brunt from the Associated Press. Go ahead, Cliff.
He might be able to give me a little help.
He's got some strength. You should see Cliff.
I got you, man. Hey, so Shea Lilligworth had his moments, but he went 5 for 21 on a pretty big stage there. Based on him being a freshman, his makeup. Do you worry at all about how he in particular, given his youth, will handle this situation? And how do you keep him positive?
None whatsoever. Shane has been here since January, and he's like a number of players in the media that have followed us for the last 16 years. I haven't heard him say a word. He's quiet. He's confident. He practices hard. He's physical. He believes in himself. And Cliff, most players, they realize and know what's going on. Like, they can watch the game and see what's going on, and they know, hey, I should have hit that throw. I should have made that tackle. Should have made that catch. Or, man, it's pretty tough to make that throw when I got 3 guys hanging on me. So they kind of know, and he's been awesome for us, and I don't see any issue with him at all.
Our next question comes from Jacob Unruh from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jacob.
Mike, how's it going?
Good.
Hey, Chuba obviously is pretty banged up and could have some frustrations this season, but what does it mean for teammates, players to see a guy like that who comes back and not have the season he wants but still battle through?
Chuba's had some ankle issues now for a month, and he doesn't practice very much. We keep him in a boot to try to let it recover, and then he's had some tough breaks. He played in the Texas game and did fine, and then came out, and the next day he had an issue, and so he's competing. He's limited. His practices are limited, which makes it extremely difficult. Even a young man that's got a lot of talent like Chuba does, if you don't practice, it's tough to play in games. So he's been a little spotty there, but he's done himself and he's done his team a favor by pushing through this and fighting. And I think later in life he'll look back and think that it's the right thing to do.
This could obviously be his last home game Saturday. And you see energy more and more out of him. Do you feel like at times he gets closer to himself, but then he has the ankle pop up again, or what?
I just think that he's getting a little closer each week, and hopefully we can get him up and running full speed. Ankle injuries are nagging for skill players, and that's just kind of what happens when you're a track athlete that's playing football and you rely on that as much as he does in games. Just makes it a little difficult each week.
Thanks, Mike.
Our next question comes from David Collier from the ABC affiliate in Lubbock, Texas. Go ahead, David.
Hey, Coach, I got a couple, if you don't mind. First, you mentioned Alan Bowman a few minutes ago. Coach Wells mentioned during last week's availability that they'll probably still go with both quarterbacks. Thoughts on both of them? And I guess thoughts on playing 2 quarterbacks in one game when it's planned. Is that something that seems kind of strange?
Well, obviously Matt has a better feel for his organization than anybody, and with his experience as a head coach, I'm guessing that he's making decisions that he feels like gives him the best chance to have success. We played 2 quarterbacks here at times. Most of the time that we were in a system with 2 quarterbacks was more of a short yardage goal line based 1st and 10 second normal. We haven't done a lot of 2 quarterbacks here. And our guys have to prepare and get a good look at both players and try to give ourselves the best chance to defend them on Saturday morning.
All right, Coach, I know we got the Big 12 call coming up here, so just a couple questions and then we'll call it good. Our last 2 questions will come from Bill Haston and Barry Trammell. Let's go ahead and start with Bill. Go ahead, Bill.
Mike, so if part of your responsibility this week is to uplift and kind of help your guys recover, who delivers any sort of uplifting message to you? Who helps you recover from a week like last week, from a game like Saturday?
You guys.
Yeah.
You're all I got. It's lonely, man. The kids at the house, they won't talk to me. The old lady won't talk to me. Family won't talk to me. I probably don't even get to go to Thanksgiving. I can tell you this right now. Y'all think I'm joking, but it's lonely at the top, man. And but I've done this a long time, Bill. I'm in year 16, and I don't know why anybody would keep me this many years, but I've said this a lot, and I'll say it again. My job is to look at the effort and the game plans that we have and put together how I feel about our football team. And if effort becomes a problem, if attitude ever becomes a problem, we have an issue that has to be fixed. That's not happened on this football team. If game plans aren't very good, then I have to fix that with the coaches. I didn't like our concept on Saturday night. We could have done a better job of coaching. When I looked at it again, I graded every play Sunday morning in all three phases. In special teams, we were just fine. But I didn't think that we did a very good job of coaching, more so now than what I thought after the game on Saturday night. I thought the players played hard and competed. I thought we could have done a better job of coaching. Now, I understand Oklahoma's playing good, quarterback's playing good, they're scoring a bunch of points, defensively, they're active. I'm good with all that. I get all that. But I don't think that we had the plans that we needed to give our players the best chance for success, in my opinion. That's how I do it. Sometimes I'm not a very popular guy. It is what it is. But that's not ever worried me. I don't care.
I mentioned in a column a couple of years ago that maybe I just asked the question, is it possible that Mike, after all this time, is feeling some burnout? And you responded on Twitter and said, hell no, I'm not burned out. And so now you're at the
I don't even get on Twitter. Somebody must have put that out for me.
There you go. But now you've been doing this now as a head coach as long as Switzer did it at OU, like as long as Wilkinson did it at OU. You know what I mean? A long time. And so if it's not burnout, I mean, how do you battle through, or how do you fight through the wall when you do hit that wall? And I'm not saying you have. I'm presuming, though, that probably there are times when you wake up and say, do I really want to do this today?
Well, I have not ever woke up and said, do I really want to do this? I have woke up sometimes and said, this is getting hard. And then I have to sit and think what my options are based on the situation that's been presented to me. And when I go to practice or I have a team meeting, Bill, there's going to be 120 people staring at me. And there's probably 118 of them that want an answer. And that's what you're talking about. But I can't stay at home, and I can't retire, and I can't not do anything. And I don't know if I'm any good at being a coach, but I'm probably not any good at doing anything else. I'm not any good at farming. I lose money farming. So the point being is this, is that this is what I do. This is how I do it. This is what I enjoy doing. And I'll be honest with you, Bill, I like having my back against the wall. I enjoy that. You know, I woke up this morning at 5:17 and I was at work by 6:10. If we would have won, I probably wouldn't have got up till 6:10 and been at work till 8. So maybe I'm a little backwards. But the point being is, at some point, maybe I'll get to, you know, you know, when Bob talked about doing what he did at Oklahoma, you know, he said he wanted his own time. He didn't want to be on call 24/7. He just wanted his own time. And I think at some point, maybe that happens. And there's some truth to that. As a head coach, you're on call 24/7. That's what we are. So I haven't got to that point yet. I like what I do. I like the young people. I like the coaches. I like our staff. You know, at some point, the people around here will think, hey, somebody can do a hell of a lot better job at Oklahoma State than Coach Gundy. They'll probably can me, and then I'll go off and coach junior high football or something. But as far as me saying that it's burned me out, I'm really a long ways from being burned out.
Thank you, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
All right, our final question is going to come from Barry Trammell. Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, Mike, you talked about you weren't, after seeing the film, you weren't crazy about the concepts. Was that offense or defense more so than one or the other?
That could have been both of them. And I'm not blaming their staff because I'm involved in that. You know, I see what they're doing. I see what they're doing. I buy in. I don't buy in. We make adjustments either way. But so it starts with me because I knew what was going on. I just, after looking at it, maybe we underestimated a couple things with them personnel-wise on both sides of the ball. And some Monday morning quarterback, but I would have done it differently if I had to do it all over again. I'm just being honest with you. You know, most of the games we come out of, Barry, I feel like that we're either every bit as equal or outcoached the people we play over my 16 years. but I didn't. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't do what I did. I don't want to get into specifics. I know you're going to ask me that, but I don't want to get into that. But I'm just saying, I've already met with the offense last night, and then met with the defense this morning, and I shared that conversation with them that this is what we should have done, in my opinion. And it's not their fault. It's my fault because I okayed everything that went out the door.
You mentioned, Oklahoma's playing well and scoring a lot of points. Your defensive problems, especially that first quarter, how much of that is you just hit a buzzsaw? They were an okay offense, good offense early in the year, but the last 3 weeks, they've looked like Kyler Murray's offense. Are they just becoming a monster again offensively?
They're really good right now on offense, Barry. I'm not going to evaluate them one or the other. I mean, there was a year, I can't remember what year it was, they had 4 NFL linemen playing, and the center wasn't eligible because he was a freshman or sophomore. And that kid's a hell of a player. I've not seen people do what he can do on tape. I wish we'd have played them in August, to be honest with you, after watching how they've progressed over the last 6 weeks. And I don't mind giving credit where credit's due, but I have to give them credit, but we should have been better in the first quarter. And then we just played right into the fire, Barry, because we had a questionable call on intentional grounding on the second play of the game that didn't help us. That set us back a little bit. And then we hit a throw, and if we wouldn't have had that, we could have got a first down, got maybe a little momentum going. And then we had a tough break on the interception. And then when you play a team that is playing as well as they are now and you get behind by 21, it's not easy to come back. So then it becomes one-dimensional. That's not the type of team we are right now, specifically offensively. We're not in a position that we can be one-dimensional at this time.